Following breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ, Cowboys defensive tackle Gerald McCoy now out for the season with a ruptured quad injury. That news comes from our Cowboys insider Patrick Walker. This happened earlier today in practice. We knew that he hurt his leg somehow, was sent to have an MRI. Now Patrick confirming through Stephen Jones that McCoy suffered a ruptured right quad injury, will have season-ending surgery. Of course, McCoy, one of several big acquisitions for the Cowboys this offseason, signed a 3-year deal back on March 31st with the Cowboys worth $18.3 million. Of course, he is a 6-time Pro Bowler, spent most of his time with the Bucs, but then a stint last season with the Panthers. All right, let's bring in the guy who broke this news for us, Patrick Walker, joining us there from Dallas. Patrick, we'll just start off with what you can tell us.
Well, there's no way around it, Amanda. This is a massive loss for the Cowboys before this season can even get started. Obviously, today was the first day of padded practice for the Cowboys, and guys were flying around for a new head coach, Mike McCarthy, excited to be out there for him. And one of those guys was Gerald McCoy. And about 45 minutes into the practice session, he went down clutching his knee. It was feared to initially be some type of ligament damage, potentially a torn ACL, but the MRI resulted or showed that it was, in fact, a torn right quadricep. So he is going to undergo season-ending surgery. They'll place him on injured reserve, and he won't get a shot to take a snap for the Cowboys until the 2021 season.
All right, let's talk about what this means for the Cowboys trying to fill that position now. They've had a lot of movement on defense this offseason, so fill us in what you know and what you think they might do.
Well, again, massive loss for the Cowboys, but they are in a position in 2020 to absorb such a loss in much better a fashion than they would have been prior to now. And I say that because you look at the team acquiring someone like Alden Smith. They brought in Dontari Poe to start at nose tackle. They're getting back a healthy and very capable Tyrone Crawford. They went and got Neville Gallimore with a 3rd-round pick in this year's NFL draft. They still have former 2nd-round pick Tristan Hill going into his 2nd year. Tristan Hill is going to be expected to step up big in the absence of McCoy. But again, the team's going to be led by Tyrone Crawford, who initially they had plans on giving him more snaps on the right defensive edge, but now they bring in Everson Griffin, which tends to be fortuitous in this instance because now they can, guess what, put Tyrone Crawford back at that starting 3-tech role, which is something he's very familiar with. So I think now, in the absence of McCoy, you look at Tyrone Crawford getting the start there, and they'll bring up Tristan Hill behind him. But the Cowboys are uniquely equipped in 2020 to handle the loss of someone like McCoy much more so than they have been prior to now.
McCoy drafted back in 2010, so he's been in the NFL now for 10 years, if you can believe it, 32 years old. What were the expectations for him this season?
They were big in that Mike McCarthy loves what McCoy brings to the table. He said so as recently as a couple of hours before this practice started. And unfortunately, now he's going to be without McCoy. He's noted that he's played, or coached, I should say, McCoy in several Pro Bowls. You mentioned earlier, McCoy is a 6-time Pro Bowler. He's an all-pro pass rusher as well as run stopper. So he was expected to have a gargantuan amount of snaps going into the 2020 season. He was the definitive starter, and that's why he was signed on that 3-year, $18+ million contract. So the Cowboys are going to miss him on the field, but they do have Tyrone Crawford. They know what they get with him. He's averaging 5, 6, sometimes even 7 sacks a season when he's in his prime form. He's healthy now. They like what they're having with him. Again, Tristan Hill, it's too early to say it's do or die for the young guy, but when you look at the talent around him, the Dontari Poes, the Marcus Lawrence, they went and got Bradley Anae. You look at Neville Gallimore, Alden Smith. The expectation and the hope is that Randy Gregory returns. There's a lot of talent still on this Cowboys defensive front. Tyrone Crawford gets the start in the absence of McCoy, who was going to get a large amount of snaps at 3-tech, but the Cowboys like the backup they have.
As you mentioned, a healthy Tyrone Crawford. Of course, he was hurt last season. All right, without McCoy, even though you have all these great pieces there, what are your expectations for the Cowboys? How much does this change for their outlook this season without him?
It's not going to change much. McCarthy and the Cowboys are still looking to throw waves of extremely talented pass rushers. Now, of course, they're missing one in Gerald McCoy, but you're still talking about the names I've mentioned. You've got DeMarcus Lawrence on that left edge and Bradley Anae, the talented, very talented rookie that I think a lot of people should keep an eye on. He'll be looking to back up DeMarcus Lawrence along with Dorrance Armstrong. You stretch over to the right defensive end. What do you got? You got Alden Smith. You're looking at a guy, hopefully, and Randy Gregory returning. They have Bradley Ionai, who can swing to the other side if need be. Neville Gallimore, Antoine Woods has officially signed his exclusive rights free agency tender, so he's going to be present as well. This Cowboys front is still loaded, even without McCoy at the fold. They're looking to take a lot of pressure off of their secondary, where they have a lot of question marks in the absence of Byron Jones, who left for free agency. Love what they're seeing early on with Trevon Diggs, but a lot to figure out outside of Trevon Diggs when it comes to Chidobe Awuzie, Daryl Worley, Clinton Dix, and that safety unit. So we'll see how the Cowboys shape up in the secondary. Their linebacker core looks solid. LVE is back. He's healthy. Jalen Smith looks ready to go. They're going to swap spots, which could be great for both of them. But again, it starts with the Cowboys on that defensive front. Even without Gerald McCoy, they are still equipped to do some damage.
All right, Patrick Walker, thank you so much for joining us with this breaking news here. Again, Cowboys defensive tackle Gerald McCoy, season-ending surgery, suffered a right quad today in practice, the first padded practice for the Cowboys. So a huge blow to them. But as Patrick mentioned, they got a lot of tools still there. We'll be right back.